Hello everyone. In today's episode, I'm joined with Aishah, and Aishah is does a lot of work with autism in the autism community, and it's going to be a really nice chat with her today. It's really nice to speak to you, Aishah.
Yeah, it's nice to speak with you too today. And yes, my name is Aishah, and I am from Virginia. And I am a recent graduate from George Mason University in the DC metropolitan area. I studied climate change, and I also have a degree in fine arts. Before autism advocacy, I did a lot of climate advocacy, which I'm still active in. But yeah, I've sort of shifted my focus to autism and disability advocacy because, um, I'm late diagnosed autistic. So I realized how it shaped my life after I got my diagnosis, and my life just made a lot more sense, and how unfair some of the systems in place are for people with disabilities. So that's why I started sort of going down this different path, which I'm really happy to do because I get to meet cool people like yourself.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. Like what you're doing, like just doing it because you want to, not just because you're maybe just trying to make a point. I suppose we're all trying to make a point about autism, like in certain things, but just doing it like because you like to do it. I think it's really good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Like you said about art, like is that like something that you've always liked doing, like art?
Yeah. So art for me, so one of my parents is used to be a photographer and artist, and so there was lots of like art supplies and cameras in the household and things of that nature. So some days they would, do art with me and teach me different techniques and things of that nature. And um, yeah, art's been like a big part of my life, I would say, and like just creating in general. So I guess it's not super surprising that I create like the graphics that I do and like make videos and things of that nature. But before I did like art seriously, like in college, I was a performing artist. So I did a lot of singing and things like that. And actually, ironically, the last time that I did perform in front of like an audience or like a crowd, my music teacher and myself went to London and we did some performances at a venue called the Red Curtain, or is it the Red Rooster, something like this. This was a couple of years ago now, but yeah, art's like a really big part of my life.
Yeah, yeah. You'll have to let me know if you come back.
Definitely.
Yeah, because I'm not that far from London. I don't go there all the time. Like I live kind of, I suppose, on the outskirts of it. Like
Oh,
because the last time I actually went to London was a few years ago. I- just before the pandemic started, and I went to the Shard and I had a birthday there. I didn't buy anything there, but food wise because it's very expensive. Um,
yeah,
but
it is.
yeah, it's very, very expensive, and like I had drinks, but they were expensive. But I
Yeah.
wanted to have like some champagne to celebrate, and had like a VR experience up there, like you're flying around the
Ooh,
Shard, which was pretty cool.
yeah,
Um,
that's really cool.
but yeah, like London's nice if you don't go. Like I couldn't, I suppose, live there because it's a very busy place. London is, and it's nice to go to. I suppose it's nice to go somewhere that you've been, but like don't go all the time. Just go every once in a while.
Yeah, I'm sort of like that with bigger cities too. They can be, living in the DC area, which is the capital of America, it's super busy. There's traffic all the time. And I mean, it was exhausting living up there. And I'm hoping that when I eventually get like a job, which I did just graduate like 2 months ago, so I got to give myself some time. I'm hoping that I don't go back there. But it's kind of looking like that might end up happening. So yeah,
Yeah.
big cities are a little bit uh,
Mm.
like you don't want to really do too much interacting with them, but yeah.
Yeah, I do like to travel, and it's been a bit like not able to do that as much last few years, but I'd like to like go to different places this year. because I'm 21 this year, so I want to do something. um,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like a big birthday. So
Yeah.
just do something nice and go to the fair different places. But yeah, like yeah, it is nice to go to different places and travel about.
Yeah. So have you been like outside of the country, or like what places have you traveled to, or what was your experience with that if you have?
Well, my first ever holiday was actually Scotland and Edinburgh. I went there. I think it was 2018. Yeah, I think it was. But it feels forever ago. But it was nice. It was cold. I think it was cold, as it is in Scotland. Um, and yeah, it was nice. And yeah, that was my first holiday. And um, I planned. Well, after that, no, actually, not after that. After that, I went to France, Toulouse, which was in the end of 2019. It was pretty scary actually because while I was in France, because I was there over the Christmas period, like seeing the Christmas festivals and stuff, where you hear something called coronavirus about end of 2019, and then I'm in France. And luckily, I get back. When before things start to kick off and they close everything and stuff, and then we all know like the new year we find out of it as a global pandemic and going to start from China around the world. But yeah, they're the first two, and then after that, not knowing that pandemic's going to happen, of course, that year of 2020, plan I want to go to Spain, I want to go to Barcelona. Because I like football, so I want to go to Barcelona, go around it, maybe go around the stadium, and then I had to get cancelled because couldn't go, and it was annoying now, but that I was always
Yeah.
looking forward to. Like lots of people would have to do that and cancel trips that they're really looking forward to and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry that happened. Yeah. I didn't know how seriously to take the pandemic at the end of 2019 when the news sort of, it was like, oh, there's a virus going around. And I was like, oh, okay. But I just thought it would like go away on its own. And then obviously it didn't. So it did ruin like a lot of plans. So I'm sorry that some of your plans got ruined. And,
Yeah.
but I think it's cool that like you get to be like in a place in the world where it's like easy to go outside of your own country. Like you could very easily go to like France or Spain, and then I'm in America, and if I go like the same distance, I'm still in the same country.
Yeah, like so you haven't been like out of your country, then you just stayed. Um,
Well, I have been outside. I mean, I don't go all the time, but like I've been to Germany, I've been to England, I've been to Wales, I've been to South Africa, and that's it. Um, but like whenever I like travel like the same distance as like somebody in Europe, it's just I'm stuck like
yeah.
in the same country.
Yeah, what you should do, like the next time you come over to the UK, which it's gonna be a long flight, um, go stay there, maybe have a little while, like maybe do some sort of road trip thing where you're in UK and then it's easy enough for you to get to another country like France, for example, or Scotland, which are short trips.
Yeah,
And
I've
then
always
you know,
wanted to go to Scotland, so that's a good idea.
yeah, I would go back to Edinburgh, but I kind of don't want to at the moment. I want to go to different places. I want to go to Spain. I want to go to but I want to go to Amsterdam in Holland, and I want to go different places, even if it's not out of the country. I do want to go to different places actually like in England, or kind of planning to go to Cardiff in Wales this year, which is a few hours away, and go to different cities like Liverpool. That's like not that well. It's not well. It's not that. It's not far for a person like a family member of mine, but it's for me to get there a few hours, not like 9 or 10. Like I suppose it's different. Like in America, you have like you have states, don't you, or like you have time differences differently over there, and over here is pretty much the same. like in like the Europe countries, like you got Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and, like in England. So all of them same time difference, which is easier for talking
Yeah.
wise, because like sometimes I'm talking to a person from America and it's early for them. So I could be talking to someone at, because I'm night owl, talk to someone in the middle of the night, and it's probably midday or afternoon for you.
Yeah, yeah, I have. So my older brother lives in Chicago and I'm on the East Coast. So sometimes I forget that he's in a different time zone than me. And I'm just like, what? Like, what's happening? Like, oh, like he's like on lunch and I'm like chilling. So it's a bit weird. So I do have a question for you. Like, how do you find it traveling with like autism? Like, do you find it like anxiety provoking? Do you feel comfortable like alone in like airports or like train stations? How is that like for you?
Like the first airport, I suppose it was pretty tough at first because like it's very uncomfortable. Especially when you get rid of your phone and things because you can't keep them. And they search you, don't they? And like an autistic person may think, hang on a minute, I got nothing. I'm not a bad person. Why are you searching me? There's other people out there who are like bad people and like they might steal stuff, and like I know that will happen at airports. It does. Like you can get all sort of people that like steal your stuff and stuff, and especially if you get on the plane and you have for example, like you might have a case and that you put it at the back, and you got to get out quick out the plane just to get it so it's not going round somewhere else. um so yeah, it is, it's hard, like the airport, I think, really, like the side of things. But when you actually get in the country, I suppose it takes a few days to settle in, and understand like your surroundings, like where you go to sleep, what time you want to get up. Like it may be a different routine as well, like that you're used to back at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I can yeah, definitely see that. I don't know, I think because I like have been like the first time I was in an airport or like flew was when I was 14. And so and I went like with my brother and that like was sort of comforting, and then after I sort of figured out how they work, it was like less anxiety provoking, but like the luggage thing bothers me. Like, what if it gets lost? And there was a time where I came back from like a birthday trip and I had to wait. I don't know. It was like crazy. Like, I had to, how do I explain this without it sounding like totally bizarre? So I had a flight at like 5 in the morning. And so I get to the airport like on time, and then they're saying like, oh, like your flight got canceled, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, why did it get canceled? That's super weird. Like, wouldn't you have told me that like a couple of hours ago? And they were like, yeah, we're sorry about that. And so I stand in like the line to get to the counter, and I am like, hey, I had a flight. Can I just check in my luggage since it's because they then by the time I got to the front of the counter, they said that it was back on. And I was like, okay, great. So I could still like run, to get to the plane. And they were like, oh, you need to check in your bag like 30 minutes ago. And I was like, but I was here 30 minutes ago, but you guys said it was canceled. And then just like a whole bunch of chaos. And so what I did was I checked my bag in on like the wrong flight, but because like I needed to get back home. So then I ran, got through security, and I got on my original flight. And then I had to wait for my bag for like 3 hours at my destination because it was on the wrong flight. And so that was just chaos. And like, I really just hope that doesn't happen again. And yeah, I think like sensory wise, like that's maybe the biggest thing for me. I like need to like have my ears sort of covered in like
Yeah,
lights too. Ugh.
yeah, I'm quite sensitive as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because like the first experience in the plane, like you have to, like you get told you got to hold your ears so they don't burst and stuff, like because of the way the plane goes and stuff, and like they say sometimes chew on like a hard sweet, like just to from like the crackling as well. So it is journey away. It's hard. Like I suppose you miss not being home, but you also like it as well. Getting away from it all and stuff, and then you're back, and I suppose it's nice feeling. But when you're back after, depending on how long you go for, but it's fun, and you get away and you have an experience in another place rather than at home.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah, but with my sensory actually, I don't like certain noises. And for example, I always bring this up when talking about it because it says it quite well. Um, like for example, if I was eating and with someone else and I wouldn't, in my mind, I don't make any noise. I might make some, like, but not as someone else would notice it. But when I hear someone else banging on their plate, it irritates me. And I said, "Why are you doing that?" I don't.
Yeah,
I'm not very happy about it. But what can you
yeah.
do?
I'm like that as well. Like but like here's the thing, I have a theory. Like I feel like people or some people on the spectrum have the ability to like control how much like their sensory environments, I guess, and like how much noise they're making. So when I'm like eating food, I notice that obviously like I'm making noises and I adjust it so that I'm making as little noise as possible, like whether that's like chewing or picking things up or whatever the case may be. But other people are just like I'm eating and I'm like, ew, stop it.
Yeah.
Why? Like there's just no they just have no concept, allistics have no concept of like sensory like sensitivities and things like that, and I think it's so bizarre.
Do you find if you do that and you're irritated by it, and someone knows you're irritated by it, that they will do it more because they know you're irritated by it?
No, I've never experienced that, but I also have the type of personality where if somebody's purposely trying to like upset me, I'll point it out and be very upfront and be like, look, you need to stop because your little game is not funny. And then I'll have like a very serious, like face to face like that. So, like, I think at least the people I am around know that's how I am and know that my personality is like, I just won't tolerate people being disrespectful. So I think like, even if they had the thought to do it, they wouldn't because they know that I would like say
Yeah,
something.
yeah, you
What
got to
about
be.
you?
Yeah, yeah, like I would get annoyed. I wouldn't be very happy about it. Like I say, I would probably shout if it's a continuous thing. But if it was just a one-off, I suppose, and it just had a joke. But yeah, like actually, speaking of jokes, like how is your understanding of like sarcasm and stuff, where people take things literally or as a joke?
Yeah, so I feel like my interpretation of sarcasm is pretty good, but like also that's like me saying that about myself and
Mm,
I've never gotten anybody else's like feedback on that. But like figures of speech, I like always mentally take them literally now as an adult, whereas so like hold your horses or it's raining cats and dogs or there's more way than one way to skin a cat, like visually I see those things like holding a horse or there's more than one way to skin a cat, which is really gruesome. So I don't know. I think that sarcasm I take well and I'm able to like be sarcastic back to people, but figures of speech is where I'm just there's also a saying that somebody used with me like a few months ago that I was like, what? I'd never heard of it. It's like willing to die on a hill. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
What does, what? And they were like, they couldn't explain it to me because they're so used to using it in a way that people understand. But I was like, what does that even mean? So I had to Google and do some research. And apparently it means that you're willing to like stand behind a point that you're making or like an opinion that you have, um, no matter what. And nothing can persuade you differently, which is the connect's not
Yeah.
there for me.
Yeah, me as well, because that don't make no sense. Like, there's been in the past where I have took certain sayings literally like you got too big for your boots, and then I was
Yeah.
like, and then you look down my boots, what, not wearing anymore.
Yeah.
Um, or I think there's one to do with your laces or something like that. But yeah, like I have been known for taking things literally quite a lot, and then probably do sometimes without noticing it. Um, but I think
Yeah.
I do have now I have a good concept of sarcasm from years on from when I was actually diagnosed when I had with autism, and I looked at it as a bad thing. As autism, I didn't kind of accept being autistic at the time, and that was due because I always thought autism was bad. I thought it was make me dumber than other people at school, because being a young person didn't really understand it really, and going into mainstream and going into a special school as well was, I suppose, tough at that point. And then years on from being in an actual special school, it helped. It did help me in confidence as well, because I feel like having confidence helps with understanding different things. And yeah, but like now, as autism is a good thing, and yeah, if I didn't, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. So
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. So when, like, at what age did you get diagnosed? And was it like technically a late diagnosis?
I was diagnosed when I was 9, and I do remember little bits of the diagnosis stages. I know I went to London, Great Ormond Street Hospital, to have tests done. And it wasn't, I don't think it was as a late diagnosis, but it was, I suppose, the right time to get diagnosed. But I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy that I was diagnosed, because I didn't have a clue what autism was. And you say, what do you mean? I've got autism, do I have to take tablets for it, or stuff like that? And like knowing that there can be different types of autism that you can get, I like me taking things that literally, probably making fun of at school when I was younger. And I didn't have best experiences in like primary school really, but from there, going into special school was the best experience, and going on to that. And even when I started there, I didn't really understand. I still thought autism was maybe dumber about different thing, and then I learned it makes me really good about others. Like I may be rubbish at maths, or I may not be very good at particular things of maths or stuff like that, but I am good at other things. And I thought, hang on a minute. If I can just focus on something, or anything, if you focus on something, you'll get better, and if you just believe in yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So 9, I guess that's not technically too like a late diagnosis, but that's,
Mm.
I guess it's good like in retrospect that you got it earlier so you had more time to like understand yourself and things like
Mm.
that. Um, I got diagnosed when I was 23, which was 2.5, 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. And yeah, I don't know, like I think there's still just like a lot of like stigma around like autism and like what it means, and that, how vast sort of the spectrum is, and so
Yeah.
it's hard for people, even like people who do get diagnosed with autism. I think you still have to like take time to wrap your head around it and understand it. And for people who are on the outside of that, who don't have autism, or holistic people, they just don't get the nuance of autism in some cases. So yeah, yeah, I'm sorry that you had a rough experience in primary school. I almost said elementary
Yeah.
school, but
Yeah, yeah, like yeah. Although I did like some parts of it, like I liked the football coach there who still keep in contact with sometimes. Like that's the only reason I suppose I would go back there. Like to help coach like football over there. But yeah, like how was your diagnosis? Like how was it for you? Like the process?
yeah, so I think I had like a very unconventional process. So what happened was I actually there were like two separate parts of it, and um like I had to go to somebody who was able to give the assessment that had like the actual qualifications to give the assessment, but this person didn't have the, I guess, credentials, which I think you have to be a doctor to diagnose it. But my therapist had the credentials to diagnose it because he's a therapist. And so it was like that. I took the assessments, and then I took those assessments to my doctor, and my doctor was like, okay. And he also, my therapist had been working with me for like 6 or 7 years at the time. So, like, he knew me pretty well. And I had been telling him that I was pursuing a diagnosis and all of the research I did. And I also had like 30 pages of like my written like life history for him just to like review. With also like my mom had sort of confirmed like, oh, that's true, like that did happen, and that's how my diagnosis went. And also the therapist that I work with, I didn't know this when I started working with him, but he did actually specialize in autism. I just didn't know, and so that was really helpful. And I think to some degree, I helped him change his mind about like how he perceives autism and women, because he worked primarily with men and had like a few female clients, but yeah, and he, by the time he like diagnosed me and was like, I'm comfortable giving you this diagnosis, he apologized at the end of the session and was like, I'm sorry I didn't like believe you at first, or I'm sorry wasn't taking it seriously, because obviously you were right. And I was like, I know.
There you go. You made someone see it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always good when you do stuff like that, like because it helps them understand and you understand as well. Like I had a similar situation where I went to this direct meat place and for like work experience um and I no one had the idea what autism was, and I talked to them. Um, I explained what it was, and not going to be the same for me than someone else. May have similar things, but it's just I'm here. I got autism. I may not ask for help because that was at the time, and it's always been a thing. I have struggled to ask for help, and like like especially like if I was at school and they think I do fine, and when I'm not, I'm just sitting there not wanting people to think of me in a different way. Because I don't know how to do a question or like a, a times table or something like that. So um, because I at school I was always at like the I suppose the table where you needed maybe a little bit more support and stuff. So that kind of made me feel like why is everyone else not like this, and why am I here and they're not? And pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I'll say that I didn't get accommodations in like any setting at all until like probably as recently as 5 years ago, which is a long time to not have any accommodations. And so I sort of just struggled in silence, like if there was something I was confused about. And I knew, like, I think like you just have this sense of knowing that other people are getting what you're not getting.
Hmm.
Like, if it's like a math question or like a word problem or something in science, and you're just like, what is going on? Or like the way that this was phrased is just not clicking. But everybody else in the classroom is just like, yeah, I understand. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to ask, because obviously I'm stuck on the smallest, silliest thing that if I asked that out loud, I feel like I would be scrutinized for it.
Yeah.
And in work environments too, like I had a job at my school, and even though my team was amazing and did for the most part know that I had accommodations and the workspace as well, there were things that I just could not bring myself to asking help on because I was like, capable of doing it. And I ended up like leaving the job, like reluctantly so. But I just was like, I'm already like behind, and there's no way I can like save myself from this.
Yeah. Yeah, like I remember at school talking about like if I needed help, and I would sometimes ask, and they would say try it again, and like you think what's the point of asking if you're just gonna brush me off and say do it, like more like that they can't be asked to help.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had experience like that, where the responsibility is put back on the person who needs help or is asking for help, and regardless of if like teachers know or not, like you're literally a teacher, you're supposed to teach, and you have to be a really like flexible personality type to be able to teach, because there's not just one way to teach. And the other day I went on a live on TikTok. Like I just like entered the TikTok, and it was between like two people, sort of like this. And one was an autism advocate that I've actually did music with back when I was like a younger kid. And the other was like a teacher who has like an autistic child. And basically this teacher was saying like, oh, I just feel like as a teacher, it's not my responsibility to like understand autism. It's not my job to like accommodate them, because like they don't teach you that in like teaching school. And I commented, I was like, that's really offensive, and like I don't think it's my responsibility as a student to suffer because of your like laziness. And I got blocked from the live.
Oh,
Which I thought was awful, because like how can you even be a teacher and like morally say that? And she also said some really offensive things as well, like to the tone of like, oh, can autistic people even really like advocate for themselves? Like, are they even like mentally capable of doing that? And I was like, what is she saying right now? Like, I honestly, I wanted to like really like tell her off, but I didn't. I was just like sort of making little comments like that's offensive and that's like not true. And this other autism advocate, I'm not sure how aware they are of how offensive that conversation was. But
yeah,
everybody's different, and there are levels of like understanding different perspectives and things like that. But I don't even know how I started talking about this, but yeah, that happened and
yeah,
it was crazy, and I
yeah.
can't believe it happened.
Well, I'm sorry that it happened, like and being like that, it's not on. Um, but I do love TikTok.
And me too.
Yeah, yeah. I've never actually gone live on there though. I see people go live, but I don't go live myself. Um, I suppose someone I know or like connect with, I would, but I wouldn't go, I suppose, with someone I don't. But I kind of based my content on there around like different things, like Doctor Who quite a lot. So I do them on there, and like have a whole community around that on there rather than advocacy around autism, I suppose. But find people who have autism on there, like Doctor Who as well. Um, but yeah, I kind of base it on that because part of my autism, I love Doctor Who. So um, um, I love TikTok when you see all those people like me and like the same thing. So it kind of brings the community around autism, I think. So
Yeah, I think so too. I find that TikTok, I feel like it's hard to be an advocate on TikTok. I don't
yeah,
know why that is. Like for me, I've described TikTok as like the playground of my social media where I just sort of dump all the silly things or
Hmm.
something that I'm interested in, like astrology would be my special interest. And that's sort of like what happens for me on TikTok. Whereas I feel like it'd be really hard to translate my advocacy onto TikTok because I don't like the short format video for advocacy. For me, it's so quick to the point that I feel like you'd have to be like saying something, but it would have to have like some sort of personality or sass that maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable being consistent with, just because at that point people are going to interpret that like quick-witted sassiness as your personality, and I don't think that would be the proper way to like describe myself. So TikTok is not the place for advocacy in my opinion
Hmm.
personally, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah, yeah, like, I know what you mean because like there's I think out of all the social medias you get the most hate on TikTok. Um, I think like I've never got any on Instagram really. Maybe a couple of accounts that want are like dodgy ones that come off. I think most people got that the iPhone thing where you get iPhone 13 for free.
Yeah,
um,
I've gotten that.
yeah,
That's
and
it's creepy.
yeah, yeah, and I've got one myself, so I know I don't need one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, like Instagram is very good for advocating what you're saying. YouTube is very good for talking a really good conversation for a long period of time. Um, and I suppose you can do that on TikTok. No, sorry, Instagram and YouTube, I suppose, in the same boat as such, because you can do long things on Instagram as well as YouTube. Facebook's a little bit more private, but you can do have like pages on there as well. But yeah, like TikTok is like as you say, it's a thing for being silly. Like me, I can be someone else I'm not. Um, acting maybe as like someone from Doctor Who, as like the Doctor. Like as we recorded today, I did a little video um mentioning about what's going on in the world at the moment.
Yeah.
Uh, and and I did that, and like because TikTok is very silly with like the violations and what you can post and what you can't, and if you get a violation about something and you think, hang on a minute, what have I done wrong? And then you see someone else out there put an awful video about something and that's not taken down, and you kind of think to yourself, the guidelines aren't very good on TikTok.
Yeah, they're definitely not. And they're very like they're selective. Like I feel like they, even though they're not going to tell you this, I feel like they target certain people and
Mm.
certain people's content, but not others. And um yeah, also like on my TikTok, I think I like made a setting a while ago on accident where I can only spend an hour a day on TikTok.
Oh.
So it'll kick me out and there's a passcode I have to put in, but I don't remember making like doing this, like setting my account up like this. So I don't know what the passcode is. So every time I've spent an hour, it's like enter your passcode to continue. And I'm like, I don't know what it is. So I'll then go and delete the app and then reinstall it. And then I can spend one more hour on it. But it's actually like, and I like wrote to TikTok about it because I was like, you guys, I didn't do this and I don't know what the passcode is because I know I didn't do this and I haven't heard back. So that's another annoying thing about TikTok is like, I think they call it digital well-being, where I also have a setting on Instagram, but Instagram doesn't make you put in a passcode to like keep going.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's nicer.
Yeah, it's crazy because like people like I used to actually when I first installed TikTok and I got some hate from some of the videos I was making and I got really offended by it, and I was going like, and even some people text me out, I don't like the content you make on there is rubbish, and I took that as an offense, and I said, yeah, you don't have to tell me that though, do you? Like you could maybe think that, and I think it was because they're not like Doctor Who like me. Um, but
Right.
they don't have to say that when it could hurt someone's feelings. But yeah, and then I got really offended by that, and then I thought, hang on, I don't care. I don't care anymore. I'll just do what I want to do and not focus on what other people think.
Yeah, that's kind of the only thing you can do.
Mm.
I don't know. I haven't really gotten much hate, but I have gotten a lot of like comments that I'm not a fan of on my Instagram where I don't know how to deal with them necessarily, other than like expressing gratitude for engaging in my content and
Oh
then
yeah.
being like, okay, like the other day, I think maybe it was actually yesterday, somebody commented like, oh, like they basically like diagnosed me with an anxiety disorder, even though I didn't mention an anxiety disorder in my post, and relating it to their own experience and then projecting it onto me. But I don't later on, like I had a conversation with them in DMs, and I don't think they realized that's what they were doing, but like from my understanding, that is what they were doing. So I was just like, okay, well, thank you for the clarification. But like, I don't think some people understand, like, you can think things and you don't have to like put it in the comments of somebody else's content, basically. Like, you can think it, but like, for you to take the time out of your day to write a comment that's like not uber positive. Is just like, why would you do that? And also like,
Mm.
when you make content, you spend a lot of time, like whether it's like research or just creativity, you spend a lot of time in that one post, and then somebody says something like negative, and it's like, I put all this effort in and that's what you're gonna say. And so yeah, I
Yeah.
get that.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because like for example, I would have a message that I don't look like the doctor, like from the actual show, and then like you get on TikTok, like lots of people trying to make the character their own. Like you don't want to be like that particular character 100%. You want to make it your own. Like sometimes I might use my actual like as acting as it. Sometimes you can use the sound of the actual people, and then sometimes you can use your voice, like mix it up a little bit, which is pretty cool. And like via Instagram, like it's not. I'm sorry that like you experience that from people, because like people don't think and like take things the wrong way and stuff, and people can message all the time, which can be, I suppose, annoying. Um, if it's on a constant basis and repeating, because I've experienced that as well. Like you get constant messages and stuff, and like when I can't actually reply at this moment in time, like I can't reply. You might message me now, but I can't do it. I can't reply, and some people may make you feel bad for that.
Yeah, some people are really impatient. And especially if they've seen that you've seen the message, they'll keep going. And it's like, okay, okay, stop it. Like, I actually, like, sometimes I don't even mean to open the message until I'm like at a place where I can like really process what this person is saying or asking. But sometimes I'll be out and like just sort of like mindlessly like fiddling with my phone and then open something and be like, oops.
Yeah, because all these notifications pop up, and then oh rubbish, shouldn't have done that. um,
Yeah.
which is that's annoying when that happens, because you get like, depending if you've got like, you get load of notifications, but maybe a post you put on, and then other people are messaging it, and then you think, hang on, let's see who's liked it, and then you accidentally press on someone who's messaged you instead of the like, and then think, oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot to balance, but I don't know. I think advocacy in that space of specifically Instagram, it's sort of a learning process, just because like if you think about it, like social media and like Instagram, it's not even like that old. So there's a lot to learn about it.
That's it.
And also it's not super well regulated either. So sure, there are ways that you can make settings be so that only people who follow you and interact with your content can comment, but like there should be like more like regulations, I feel like, where it helps creators feel safer on platforms like Instagram, for example. But I don't know what that looks like because
Yeah.
I'm not a engineer or whatever the people who code these things are.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. But like when did you actually decide like after you was diagnosed to decide to maybe create an account and like decide to raise awareness of autism?
That's a good question. So I actually immediately thought about it, but so basically like I started to do it and take it seriously in December of last year. So quite recently, but I purposely did that because I knew I wanted to speak up about it. And I do have this sort of really like strong instinct to speak up about things. I think it's part of like my purpose or whatever. But I purposely did that because like I said, like I feel like there's so much to learn and there's so much that's like unknown about like autism and the different ways that it can take shape for a person and how you process the world. So I just sort of like studied people's accounts, contents, and what they were saying, and studied articles and papers and different things that were available to like read, like literature basically. And then I thought about like how can I integrate this with with myself, I guess. Like I don't have an account that's like Audi Aisha or like Autistic Aisha because like the understanding is that like inherently like I am autistic, so like I don't need to change my name to be Autistic Aisha because I am Aisha, and Aisha is autistic, and if you know that, great, and if you don't, come to my page and you'll find out, right?
Yeah,
And so I try to like integrate like my own style into my advocacy because I think it's really important to normalize it and normalize autism. And I feel like the best way to do that is to not give yourself um, a title where this is all you're doing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And you integrate your own like personhood into it by posting pictures of yourself or reels or whatever the case may be, as well as like well-rounded and well thought out content that's informative. So I hope that answers your question.
yeah, yeah. I think like it's really good when you do that, and like you can only not only just maybe focusing around autism post, maybe like how your life's going, like if like it doesn't specifically have to be about autism, um, like which I like for example someone else I won't always focus on autism, like I love autism, but like it's also important to focus on yourself as well as your being autistic.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, but like with me with my account, it was originally created for my Crohn's and about having Crohn's, and I but then I think, hang on a minute, I'm seeing lots of people talk about their autism as well, because getting diagnosed with Crohn's a bit later on in life than being autistic. So I had autism longer. I always will, when like knowing that it's like people ask me questions like, what's it like to be an autistic, and having something that dampens my immune system and puts me as really a very vulnerable person. And like I speak to people who are autistic, and they say they may have like chronic pain is relevant to being autistic. And I think, hang on a minute, why don't I make this page about autism and Crohn's and invisible things that people can't see, which Crohn's is a disease and autism isn't, but talking about both are pretty similar, because although the people may think, I suppose people do sometimes think that autism may be a disease because you have it for the rest of your life, but it's not one that I suppose that you will have like surgery for it. Like Crohn's, you might like have that, but it's more of a situation that they're they're both invisible. Like for example, there's quite a lot of invisible with Crohn's, with the inside, with the gut. It's kind of affected by like and how serious it is, which is not it kind of gets misled, Crohn's, like the appearance like autism, but in a way with that, like people say that you don't look sick, like in an autistic way people say you don't look autistic. So people get that, and like when I was really ill, when I was diagnosed in 2017, people didn't understand it. I didn't. It's almost like getting diagnosed with something again, like just a bit older in life. So it was, I suppose both diagnoses, when people ask me, are hard. Um, I actually I've spoken to a person that has both as well as me, and I don't really find that often. I either find I speak to someone that has Crohn's, or someone has autism, or people that work in those kind of fields. But the main reason to create a page was just to raise awareness and talk about it, talk about what's going on in her life, like if I'm doing something to do with autism, something to do with Crohn's, mixing up a little bit, and eventually creating like something where people can talk to me as well and meet new people, make new friends, and stay in contact with others.
Yeah. So how did you get diagnosed or find out that you had Crohn's disease, and what does that mean? I've done some research on it myself. I have lots of stomach issues, and that's why.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if it's like that, because it's
Mm.
very serious, and I'm not sure.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. So I'll talk to you like the diagnosis stage, like how it came about and stuff. Um, so in 2017, I got diagnosed with Crohn's, but it happened quite late in October time. But throughout that year, I lost a lot of weight, and thought, hang on, I didn't really think it's more my parents did, noticing stuff and looking a bit skinnier and stuff. And I look back on photos through that year, and I see that. I see, hang on a minute, I'm at that place and a bit skinnier there, and it all happened very slow, a slow process throughout the year, and then eventually I can't eat. I can't eat anything. Without If I eat, I get pain. Even if I don't eat, I get pain, like a burny feeling in my stomach, sharpy, acidy feeling, which doesn't stop. Continued for ages, and I went to school. This was good when I was at my special school, because they would understand. It was good. I got a time when I was in the last year of school, and I was in a drama class as well, and I like drama. Hence why I probably like doing it on TikTok. But yeah, I like it, and I was a minor role character, and but back then the exam for it changed. For drama, it was more English based, where you have to write about it, and yeah, I had to write. The funny thing it was, whatever was acting, we couldn't write about that. We had to write something completely different that we had no clue about. So I had to write like what it was. Maybe I think you had to watch it. You had to watch the film and then write about certain things about what was happening. And then the drama, I played a minor role character, and luckily it wasn't yet time for the exam. Like practicing lines, changing costume, changing character. I was the only one that had different characters. They all were one. And at the start of acting it out and playing it, I was due to be one of the main characters of it, and stuff. And I think they changed me to a minor role because they thought I was better suited for a minor role character and being different people. So maybe being a dancer, I was dancing, and it was quite funny because I can't dance. And it was like old school, like you gotta go like that, in and out, spin round, turn round. And I'm thinking I had to learn, I would get taught, and at times I thought people were laughing at me in a good way and a bad way as well. And when people say I know how to do that and stuff, and pretty funny though, the person who took my role was struggling with the lines though quite a lot of the time. I was thinking, should have kept me. Should have. But but I thought it was a good idea. I was chosen for a different role because it wasn't as complex as another role. Because not knowing that I was going to be going to hospital and taking time off, and knowing that, and I was actually during this period of time, I was asked. I was in class holding my stomach while having a pen in my hand, saying if I want to go to a nurse, but nurse is not good at like for Crohn's inflammatory bowel disease. It's called, like, affects your gut for me up to my mouth to down in where my bum is. So it's pretty serious. And at that time, they asked me if I'm going to go to a nurse, and I say painkillers aren't going to help the pain. I wish they could. Be lovely. Then I said, do I want to go out the way and sit in the library? And I said, no, I don't want to get asked why I'm here. And then they say, you have to tell me you're not allowed in here. I wouldn't be very happy with that. I wouldn't want them to suppose get involved and be nosy, which teachers do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then that was a school period of time, and then one day in the middle of the night I couldn't sleep, and it was really painful, and it was awesome, and it was horrible, and that pain, I always remember it, and I haven't felt it for a while, which is good. But through that, I went to hospital, and I have to go to A&E, which shouldn't be the case for a chronic condition. You should not be in A&E because that's for accidents, and this was not so an accident. It was almost like I got chosen to have it or something like that. But I went there. They didn't really do much about it. I suppose I remember crying because I had a blood test, and the guy put it in the vein, like in the wrong part, and I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to be rude.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be rude. And I thought, yeah, and then a family member was there and said, you're doing it wrong, stop, you're hurting him. And then I suppose I got quite offended when another person came over to say sorry, like a helper, and then they kind of made that worse. It's luckily I wasn't in the mood to speak to them, because they said, she said, he's normally a good doctor, he's very experienced, he knows what he's doing. And then if that was me, I wouldn't be very happy. Knows what he's doing.
Oh my gosh.
But then moving on, I got told that I had to come back for an appointment with a consultant like a month later, and pushing appointments forward, that I couldn't do that, otherwise bad things would happen more, and that pain, another month I possibly might not have been still here if that was the case. And then I had a kind of colonoscopy, so it's like having some tube down your throat and up your bum, just to see what's going on, and that was an unpleasant experience. But knowing that I couldn't eat anything anyway, I had to be put on drinks that I didn't like either, like the liquid drinks that you have to drink if you can't eat. And I lived on rice. I think I lived on rice chicken for most of that time. I could kind of eat that, and I lived on it for a while. And bloating was another symptom of what was going on. So let's say I was eating something little, I was full. It was almost like I ate a whole meal. Anyway, and it was, that part was hard. But and then having the colonoscopy, I had to have prep. So like I had prep, which I'd have to drink 15 minutes each time. But because it was so horrible, I took 15 minutes to drink one, and then I go on to the next one, and then I've got to drink that one, and then I was empty. I think I was empty anyway because I wasn't eating anything. But they just had to do that, and that prep's supposed to make you go to the toilet to empty your bowel, so they can put the tube down your back passage. Very nice. And from there, I'm ready for the colonoscopy. Had to put the gown on, having it all done pretty fast, I'd say. I had sedation as well, for the bum part. And actually last year I had a sigmoidoscopy actually, which I had to have a check, because I haven't had that since 2017. So that's just the bum part, not the down the throat part, which I had. And I had laughing gas this time, because I wanted to experience laughing gas, and I wasn't laughing really. I thought, why they call it laughing gas for? I was more talking to the guy next to me, and he's saying, but it did make me feel, I suppose, quite high. And because I'm supposed to take it for only pain. And the guy was saying, "Are you feeling pain?" I said, "No." I should have said, "No." I said to him, "No, I just want it more. I want to feel high more. I want to feel drunk." um,
Oh, wow.
and and he took it away. I said, "I'll give you back in a minute when you're in pain." And then that was near to the end of it, to be fair. But that is a couple of years after. But going back to the diagnosis stage, once I was having that done, because it's very interesting, because I speak to different people in other countries like America, and they actually sleep through the procedure, and over here we don't. We stay awake for it, and yeah, it's quite interesting. Um, because I spoke to another person from another part of America, in Canada, and they stay awake. So it's very interesting why people go to sleep, and why don't they stay awake for a procedure that only takes approximately 15-20 minutes. So that is odd and bizarre. Because surely if you had a procedure wasn't that long, you wouldn't want to be in a underneath like for that kind of period of time. But
Yeah.
once he was doing it, I was sedated enough to hear what was going on. And he said, "Well, Crohn's," and I go out to the parents to say, "I've got Crohn's" and stuff. And he comes out and says, "Yeah, I've got Crohn's." I had no idea what it was and had to learn about it quite a long period of time. It took a few years probably to accept I had it and stuff. And yeah, no, I take medication that cancer patients take, that dampen my immune system, and COVID times and the ongoing pandemic, going on class as a extremely clinically vulnerable person, that won't look like that probably to people out there, who aren't aware of it and stuff. So yeah, that was kind of the diagnosis, and then going on steroids after I was on steroids, and then kind of went on to um, the what I take at the moment is Humira. And yeah, as we've recording this, I actually had my injection before I came on to speak to you. So I had that done today.
Well, that sounds like a process, like a long process, but thank you for
Mm,
sharing that with me.
yeah.
Yeah, I wonder why also, like, I think it may be dependent on like the doctor that you're seeing, like in
Mm,
America, because I know like older people like over 50 have to get like a colonoscopy and they stay awake for it.
mm,
So I wonder if it's just different for younger people. I don't know, but
yeah.
that's really, really interesting. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said about some pains that you've experienced. What could you like explain a little bit about them?
So I have like really awful stomach problems like all the time, and I've had them my whole life. And I don't know. I just try to drink water and like manage it, but they're really bad at times. And I kind of wonder, I think like my primary care physician and I have sort of come to the conclusion that it's probably IBS, but like not officially. Um,
Yeah.
because I know that Crohn's and IBS kind of go hand in hand, but one is more serious than the other, or at least that's my perception of it. So yeah, I just have like terrible like issues, and like I have a really sensitive stomach, and I sort of also try to follow the FODMAP diet where I stay away from certain foods because I do have like a lot of food sensitivities, like garlic, onions, sweet peppers, all of that makes my stomach even if I smell it, I'm like, ew,
Yeah.
gross. So yeah, I just have always had. I remember once when I was like 6 years old, I was at church and we were having like a field day at church where you get to like wear jeans and like there are like games and stuff. And I was so sick, like I couldn't even walk. And so my mom had to take me to the emergency room, and basically I was super constipated and they were like, we might have to do surgery on her. And I that scared me as a 6 year old, and
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta go to the bathroom, like I just gotta go. And it was the most painful experience that I've had in that span of my life period. But yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
lots of stomach problems.
Yeah. Like it's really interesting, and like, well, like sorry that you're experiencing them, because it shouldn't be like nice for you. Um, but through like with the IBS and IBD side of things, like that's got like quite confused in like for some people, which like it's good that you recognize they're like different, because so some people recognize that they're the same, like IBS and IBD. They kind of think it's the same thing because it says probably starts with IB, and then but yeah, like I remember a college once, that they were making smoothies and they thought it's good for people with IBS, but for me it wouldn't work for IBD. And like the things beforehand, I loved spicy foods. Before I was diagnosed, I'd have like kebab and have all spice, all the chili sauce all over it, and like the feeling when I have to drink and water all the time. But I don't do that now, and I don't as much have spicy foods. Like even a curry now, I just don't like a really hot curry. I'll have a mild one because it's good. I like it and it's nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still love spicy food and I eat it all the time, but I think I should stay away from spicy food, but I just
Mm.
like it a lot and
Yeah.
I like the intensity of the flavor and you know that show what is it? Hot Ones or something like that with Sean Evans when
Yeah.
they eat like really spicy wings. I want to go on that show so bad. I know I'm like not like I'm nobody, so I can't go on the show,
Yeah.
but like the way that they like, I'm like, I bet I could handle it because I love spicy food so much.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. There has actually been competitions that, like, I think there's competitions on pubs and restaurants that you could probably go to that have it like you eat this spicy food dish in a limited amount of minutes and you get a prize for completing it in a certain amount of time.
That's really cool. I
Yeah.
should look into that.
Yeah, because I've never done it myself. Like it was at a pub near me once, and they had a night around like eating this dish. I think it was like a spicy burger or something like that, and you got to eat it all in a short period of time. But although that isn't like good for the like if you have uh, chronic problems, and I think eating slow is always nice than eating fast. But if you really like something, you probably can't help that. So if you're right, that's what I meant. I want to eat this, I want to eat all. But I suppose if you also like something, you want to take it slow. Like every bite's on you eat, and they say you've got more time for us to see it in front of you.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you.
Yeah, yeah, and also just to mention, I actually had surgery when I was younger as well, and that was I've got a scar on my stomach. It's always going to be there, and that's I don't directly remember why. I think it was because I had pneumonia. I had pneumonia. I was really ill when I was young. Um, like I had lots of problems when I was a baby and stuff. So I had that, and I had a teddy, a Great Ormond Street teddy in London, and it was a weird experience. Like that's the first time I've had it, and it's pretty common for people who have Crohn's at my age, especially if you get done quite a young age to have surgery. But at the moment, I'm doing okay. Like sometimes fatigue is very a thing with me, and I get tired and stuff. Especially like I go out for any sort of like exercise and stuff, and I'll sleep when I get in, um, and be awake at night time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is there like before we go, is there anything else that you would like to mention or anything like that?
No, nothing in particular. But thank you so much for having me and reaching
Yeah,
out. I think this has been really cool and it's great to like know more people in the community.
definitely. But one last thing before we finish, if there is there like if you could maybe give some advice in your experience, like with being like diagnosed quite late as an adult, like how would you give that advice to maybe someone else who's in a similar like way to you was?
Um, I guess like if you're at the point where you're pursuing a diagnosis or just becoming inquisitive about like maybe this does fit me and maybe I do have ASD, to learn yourself and like really observe yourself, and while you do that accept who you are even before you get your diagnosis, because that's really helpful, because
Mhm.
then you're like, oh my god, this thing I've been doing my whole life, that makes a lot of sense, and I accept this and I accept myself. because then when you get your diagnosis, it won't be such a shock that it's like, oh, this is this, like you already know. So just really like coming to terms with self-acceptance, like before you do anything else, accept who you believe you are.
Yeah, I think some really good advice there. And there's also one more question I just wanted to ask. Like, before you was diagnosed, was you aware of autism or heard of it before?
Yeah, I had heard of it before, but I don't think I really knew what it meant in the same way that I know what
Okay.
it means now.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Aisha. It's been really nice and to talk to you.
Yeah, it's been great to talk to you as well, Mason. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and please let me know when you're down back in the UK.
Okay, I will let them know. Man.
Yeah,
Definitely
yeah,
will.
yeah. Well, thank you again. It's been really nice and really fun talking to you.
Of course, of course. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
And you too.
Thanks. Bye.